Jason Duell on the website Theosophical Ruminations states the following: Atheism is a worldview. If you've been on the internet for any amount of time, you may have spotted this demotivator. It describes atheism as similar to a religion, if not a religion itself, with its own symbol, evangelists, weekly meetings, and so on. There is also this poster I referred to in my last video, which describes atheism as a list of beliefs, inserting strawman fallacies to replace modern cosmology and biology. And this poster, also referred to in my previous video, that corrects many of the fallacious statements made by the previous one, but not all. This brings us to the third lie Christians tell, and why they tell it: that atheism is a belief system. The lie, neatly summed up, is that atheism is a belief system or worldview, a list of ideas or beliefs intended to provide a complete and coherent explanation of reality. But here are the facts. Properly defined, atheism is simply not believing in any gods. A very small number of people affirm the non-existence of one or many gods through logical argument or some other means. But most people simply do not buy or accept the shoddy or frankly absent evidence for the existence of any gods. If you're having trouble with that idea, feel free to refer to my previous video. I explain it in more detail there. But the fact of the matter is that for most people, atheism is just a lack of belief. Not a belief in itself, certainly not a belief system, and most certainly not dependent on or derived from modern cosmology or biology. This would be why atheism long predates modern cosmology and biology. There was no evidence for any god long before those things arrived on the scene. Arguably, before human civilization invented any gods, everybody was an atheist. Furthermore, atheism doesn't say anything about the things you do believe, only about the things you don't. Atheists can believe in any number of things, even other unsubstantiated things, through a lack of reflection or because their cultures strongly support belief in these unsubstantiated things. As far as the big questions are concerned, like the origin of the universe and the diversity of life, many contemporary atheists believe what's indicated and evidenced by modern cosmology and biology. This is because they are rational people, and they care that the things they believe are true, so they tend to follow the evidence. But many other atheists, who don't have access to all the evidence, or still don't find it sufficient, simply admit that they don't know. So, being neither a belief nor a set of beliefs, atheism does not and cannot imply any particular moral code. Some atheists retain largely Christian values, despite not believing in any particular gods. Other atheists are culturally Jewish, and depending on how you define a god versus a spirit, all Buddhists are atheists. Regardless of how you define gods, all babies are atheists, since they are unaware of any of our notions of deities and magic, and therefore can't believe in any of them. Atheists only have one thing in common: they do not find the evidence for any particular god to be enough to warrant belief, just like you don't find the evidence for a large number of other unsubstantiated things sufficient to warrant believing in them. And rightly so, because there isn't any. So the truth, neatly summed up, is that atheism is not a belief system or a worldview. It's just a lack of belief. Why would Christians lie about atheism being a belief system? Simple. Just as lying and saying that atheism is a belief falsely shifts the burden of proof from believing in gods to not believing in them, lying and saying that atheism is a belief system falsely increases this burden of proof. Jason Duell makes this motivation pretty explicit, asking atheists to be able to explain all of reality, as though a lack of belief ever explained anything, or was ever intended to. Any explanation of reality using a lack of belief is necessarily false, and even if you tried to explain reality using all available evidence, it would be impossible. Partly because it would require you to explain and personally demonstrate all the scientific knowledge acquired over the past few centuries. Partly because you're dealing with people who don't want to know what the truth is, the kind who will claim that there are no transitional fossils, but never type the words transitional fossils into a Google bar or a Wikipedia page. Partly because we don't know everything yet, and some people will always fill in the gaps in knowledge with some fairy tale or other. And partly because even if we did know everything, some people would still believe in a God that existed, but for some curious reason had no unambiguous effects on anything, ever. Remember, many Christians already believe in abiogenesis and evolution. Religion is dumb, but creationism is idiotic. Don't play into their lies or hypocrisy by attempting to justify your so-called atheistic worldview. Not until they adequately justify their tattooed fish-head dragon-riding goddess-ist worldview. There's no need for any of that. There's just no evidence for any of those things. And that's enough. If you know of a lie that Christians like to tell, please send me a message with that lie, and I'll make a video about it. Other than that, please rate the video, subscribe, and wait for more. There's more coming.